Welcome, everybody, to a new year of the Triathlon Preview Show. We are back again.
Hi, everyone. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time off. We're up to episode 49 now, but we are back. Obviously, there wasn't too much going on over the winter, and we were kind of doing our own stuff anyways.
Yeah, I guess I've chosen to take a step back from racing this year. So I'm still training because I like to do that, but just having fun and doing some new stuff and not quite having the pressure of all the training. Although still do train quite a bit, and I have a coaching a camp next week that I have to be in shape for. But just kind of leaving the pressure behind for a bit, see how that goes.
Yep, and I have a baby on the way coming in July, like everybody else.
Yep, Zach is hoping that if all the other triathletes have girls, he'll have a boy because um you know there might be some good athletes among all those people. But who knows? I bet you all these athletes having babies, they'll probably end up being like pianists or something.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did actually have some racing, a couple races here and there. We'll go over a couple of those results right now.
Yeah, so Dubai, on the men's side, you had Gomez. Good to see him back, actually, after he broke his elbow or whatever right before the Olympics. So he's probably fit and motivated, and I'm sure we'll talk about him later when we go over Abu Dhabi. But it was Gomez, Amberger, and then Rudy Wild. And on the women's side, Reef, Salthouse had a great race, and then Sarah Crowley took up the podium. And she was like second, I think, at Bahrain at the end of the year. So Sarah Crowley's kind of a new face that I think we'll see more often now. I think she's on Team TBB, or I'm sorry, Triceto. Team TBB's been gone for a while.
Yeah, we had a couple of races. Geelong, South Africa. Challenge Wanaka was last weekend.
Yeah, and there's actually quite a few, and it was like a record-setting day as far as like the conditions were really good at Wanaka. Not a lot of wind, perfect temperature. And so both the men and the women set records, and it was quite a battle between Yvonne van Leerke and Laura Sedal. Like, I don't think they were ever separated by more than 2 minutes the entire day, and it ended up that Yvonne won by 27 seconds, and they'll both be at Taupo this week, along with the gal who got third, Emma Billum, and then also Alyssa Godesky, who got fourth. She's doing Taupo too. So quite a few people trying to back up, in New Zealand this week.
Eight of the Wanaka finishers are doing Ironman New Zealand. I think 10 of them, but 2 of them DNF'd at Wanaka.
Oh, okay. I don't. Dougal Allen is not. He set the men's record at Wanaka, and he's not doing the double. He did it last year, but chose not to this year. I think he's doing Challenge Taiwan next, and then something else. And then just to round out the podium for the men, Mike Phillips was second, and Luke Bell finally he had a great race and got third at Challenge Wanaka. And then at Geelong, I think that was the same weekend. You had Appleton, Amberger, and Dan Wilson. Dan Wilson was ITU, and then Luxford, Riveros, and Crowley again. And Luxford like rode 10 minutes into everybody. She rode like crazy, and we'll talk about her later. She's doing Taupo this week. So she's fit, it seems.
Yeah, so lots of races to start off the year here and there. Kind of all over the world, from South America, Africa, and the Asia Pacific area.
Yeah, it was just hard to like do previews, I think, for them because they're kind of just one-offs, and people. It was like some people were racing, some people weren't. I mean, Lionel Sanders raced in Pucón and won there, did pretty well. So, just kind of had bits and pieces all over, and then the North American season is going to kind of get started here. We got Puerto Rico in a couple weeks and a race in Mexico, and then always the big opener down in Oceanside in just about a month. So everything's kicking off.
All right, let's start with the ITU series since we're coming back after a long time off there.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi, which was supposed to be it was going to be a sprint, which I think some coaches we were talking about earlier, like Joel Filial, thought that that was a good way to start the season. And then, like a week later, after he said that, they changed it to an Olympic distance. So it is an Olympic distance, and 2-lap swim. And then, I believe there's kind of like you get out before the second lap. The second lap is a little less than the first lap. And then the bike is 10 laps, and they're on the F1 circuit there in Abu Dhabi. And then the run is typical 4 by 2.5K. And it's going to be fat and fast. Fat, flat and fast. Excuse me.
And I saw that, so usually the swim here is non-wetsuit, but it looks to be that it could be wetsuit legal this year.
Yeah, I think it's right on the limit, so it's going to be a game day decision. The race is taking place, so it's at 3:45 in the afternoon on Friday for the women. Which here in California, it's just 12 hours behind. So like 6:45 in the morning on the East Coast. So you can definitely get up and watch it. And I'll be purchasing I always get the pass for Triathlon Live. So we'll just have to see what happens as far as that's concerned. I mean, it's, first race of the season, and last year was such an intense year, I think, for everybody. It's going to be interesting to see you'll have people who are in good shape and are fired up, and then people who are just slowly kind of getting back into it after a really intense year and probably enjoyed a bit more of a laid back off season, I would think.
Yeah, and I think we'll see a lot of newcomers this year, possibly. I mean, it's basically a new 4-year cycle. So people definitely want to get the newcomers need to get their names out there early, because basically in 3 years, you're basically picking your teams. So.
Right. I think, yeah, you're right. You might have some of the U23 people starting to step up a little bit, kind of that new generation. And I mean, we still have people like Sarah True is racing this weekend. I guess we'll talk about the women first since I brought that up. And, Katie Zafiris is starting. Renee Tomlin, I actually noticed that she's training now with Jamie Turner and the Wollongong Wizards. So she's kind of made a coaching change, and she's definitely got the goods. I just don't think we saw the consistency with her last year. So maybe this new group will give her some consistency. And Kirsten Casper and Summer Cook we're all really good. I mean, Summer won her first WTS race in Edmonton. I mean, the U.S. women are just strong.
Yeah, the U.S. women definitely are. You mentioned the Wizards. Charlotte McShane, I'm interested to watch her this year, just because I felt like she was possibly the second best female in that group, and now with Gwen taking some time off, she might be able to get a little more of the, coach athlete dedication there.
Yeah. Especially, I think Jamie Turner. So he was the Canadian national coach last year, and he took, I believe, the role as the Australian national coach this year. So, I think maybe there'll be not that he wouldn't give her the attention, but there's a little more accountability maybe for the Australians to do really well. And I believe Ashley Gentle has also joined. No, is she? Yeah, I think she might be starting to work with them too. I believe I read that. So she's not racing this race, but they definitely have a good group. And with Gwen not down there because she's pregnant along with everybody else, the dynamics will change a bit, but they still have some good women, and I'm sure men training down there. So it's just so hard to say, this race, who's, you'll have, I feel like out, Carolina Routier will be out in the front, and then how the F1 circuit works as far as the bikes, because it's just going to be fast, right? Because the surface is really good. But I think it's technical because aren't those F1 circuits kind of banked and everything?
Yeah, I don't know actually if the F1s are. I don't know too much about the F1 circuit, but they're
Okay.
definitely curvy. I mean, if I remember correctly.
Right. Like I think there's going to be some technical stuff. So it's kind of excited to see. And I think everybody's just jazzed to ride on that because it's completely closed. It's like it's all open. You don't have to worry about, like, last year we had that big crash in the in the media, and that's when Nicola Spirig broke her hand. Um, we're not going to have quite as much of that type of obstacle, I guess. So I mean, Andrea Hewitt's back racing. I mean, she's one of the kind of older gals on the circuit, and she's not starting this race, but I've heard that Vanessa Fernandez is coming back, and she used to battle with Emma Snowsill back in the late kind of 2000s, like 2008, 9,
Yeah,
and
wasn't there like an
10.
ad or something that she was in or something? Or where did I see that?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think she was gonna start, but she's not. But when she does, I think you'll just see, it's kind of the post-Olympic year, and you're gonna see some people try some new things. And I think obviously we're gonna maybe have Duffy's not starting this one, but the world championship might be a little bit different because you're not gonna have Gwen kind of taking all the races. I mean, she didn't race a lot last year, but it was like when Gwen was in the race, like the dynamics kind of played out in a certain way. And with her not there, is it going to be a little different?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you get off the bike now, you're gonna actually you have a shot, right? I mean, anybody at that point can win. There's not like, oh well, Gwen's off in the main pack and the race is done.
Right. Right. So that might influence the bike too a little bit. And you have someone like Helen Jenkins isn't there to kind of drive the front of the race. I mean, Jody Stimpson's back, had a Achilles injury, so curious to see how she runs kind of first race of the year. She was super fit last year, this time of year, because she was trying to get that last GB slot. So this year might be different for her. So
Yeah, it's just not interesting, but it just shows how strong the U.S. is. They're laying out 5 athletes at the beginning of the year. First race of the year, they're filled 5 athletes. So I don't think any other country has more than that.
right, and those 5 athletes, all 5 of them could finish in the top 10.
Oh,
You
for
know,
sure.
so we'll be curious to see how that turns out. I mean, and you just don't know, like, people are in shape, right? But like, are they race sharp, race fit? Kind of takes a couple races sometimes to get your bearings. So we'll just have to wait and see, but I'm excited to watch.
All right, moving over to the men. As you mentioned, Gomez is back. So first ITU race back.
Yep. And there's no Brownlees, right?
Yeah, no Brownlee. So as you mentioned with the women's, the same thing. Nobody really pushing the pace on the bike, possibly.
Yeah. And I mean, so it's Olympic distance, and we'll have to see how, like, I think whether or not it's a wetsuit. I mean, Mario Mola had some good non-wetsuit swims last year. His swim is definitely improving. So, the Spanish men are like the strong US women. You got Mola, Alarza, Gomez is back, and I feel like Gomez is probably pretty fit. You got Vincent Louis. He had, he was injured pretty much all year last year, so want to see how he's doing. I mean, he was off the bike at the front in the Olympics, but you could just tell, like, he didn't have the run fitness.
Yep.
His arms were kind of heavy, as far as, like, you could tell he'd done a lot of swimming but not a lot of running. So we'll have to see.
And then the one Spain guy is Hernandez. He's not racing. He's not on the start list this year or right now.
This race, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had so many people had such long years last year, so
Yeah.
I think a lot of people maybe just aren't ready to go.
I'm disappointed actually in only seeing 2 U.S. men on the list this year, just because I feel like the U.S. men just don't have the quality athletes that all the other countries do, and I feel like this is the time to like get your name out. I mean, there's no U.S. man you're like he's the leader, he's the best. I feel like there's a bunch of other people that are just all together, so it kind of disappoints me. There's not a lot of guys going after this race.
Yeah, I mean, so you have Joe Malloy. He's doing the Super League stuff. I think Eric Lagerstrom might be doing some different stuff instead of ITU stuff this year. I don't know exactly. And then Ben Canute. I mean, he'll be near the front and driving the bike. He always does. And Greg Billington, he was an Olympian, but yeah, we don't have that like really strong contingent that you see at every single race.
Yeah. Schumann and Murray obviously are both racing for South Africa. So Schumann's had a strong end of the year last year, obviously, and Murray is always himself.
Yeah. I like I was telling you, he hasn't been in Mallorca training with the Joel Filial squad. So I'm wondering, is he still working with Joel? Because Joel took over the Italian Federation. So I don't know if maybe Joel doesn't have the bandwidth to have as many athletes or what's going on there.
And then Murray just did the Xterra race too, didn't he? And he won?
Yeah, he won the Xterra race, and it's summertime in South Africa, so I feel like the people who've been training down there are, I don't know, it's like they're probably fit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And another person that I saw is Grandales, the Mexican guy. He's been training with Gomez in I think they were on the Canary Islands, like Tenerife or Lanzarote. So I mean, I think those two are probably fit, and I didn't know they were. I mean, how would I know? But they're friends apparently. So I feel like they look fit when they were running around. It's just like, are you too fit too soon? I don't think it matters for Gomez. Like he's probably really fit because he had his off season in August and September.
Yeah, he's definitely the experienced one here, for sure. So
yeah, and I think it's his first time back at ITU race, and probably wants to do well and come out with a bang. I mean, he's competitive, so
yeah, I'm interested to see where his run speed is for that short, fast stuff.
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
does he still have it after his injury?
right. Well, he ran like in Dubai. I think he ran like 110 or 109, and he was behind off the bike. But that's a half marathon. So like Mola, I think he's developed as a runner and gotten stronger over the 10K. Since we've seen him and Gomez race. So if they come off the bike together, I think that'll be it always is, like in Chicago a couple years ago, a good battle. Mm-hmm. Just whether it all comes together, like the Olympic distance will kind of string things out, but we'll have to see.
All right, let's any final thoughts on the ITU race?
No. Well, I mean, looking at the French are super, super good too, right? You got Lacour, Connex, Louis, kind of the French and the Spanish both have good groups. So
yeah, we'll for see. Sure.
All right. Ironman New Zealand.
Yep. First Ironman of the year. Looks honestly, I'm surprised at the start list. I think there's a good quality at the top, but there's also some a deeper field, I feel like, at the beginning of the year that usually you don't see.
Yeah, I agree, and especially with South Africa coming up in just a month, and then Texas few weeks after that, since those are two kind of bigger points race. But I feel like this race has a lot of people who already have things kind of sewn up as far as like qualifying for Kona, like someone like Terenzo Bozzone. He did well at 70.3 Worlds. He won Ironman Western Australia, and then so he's got enough point. Like it's like he just needs to do one more.
Yeah.
To definitely have the points, and I'm sure this is one he's always wanted to win, and he finally nailed an Ironman at Western Australia. So he probably, being a New Zealander, he wants to win this. And like, if you're the first person to beat Cam Brown, who's won, like, I mean, the guy, I think if he wins this will be his 13th title. Like, you want to be the New Zealander that like knocks Cam Brown off.
Well, and you also wanted to keep it in, New Zealand and not somewhere else.
Exactly. Like, you don't want, I mean, a true threat is like Marino van Honacker,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be hot. Like, Marino's had trouble in the heat. It's not going to be hot like Kona. I checked the weather. It's going to be partly or mostly cloudy and a low of 56 and a high of 72. Don't know what the winds are going to be, but that's good conditions for racing.
Yeah, so he was supposed to do this race last year, but then he didn't. I guess he canceled at the last minute. And I don't really remember the reason, but I know he was on the list last year.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and he had until Lionel broke it, right? He had the fastest Ironman, WTC Ironman record.
Yeah, like in Austria?
Yeah, I think it was in Austria. So, see how he does on this course. I mean, this course, we didn't talk about the course, but the bike is 2 loops and it's got some hills in it for sure. And it's that chip seal, so it's not like a super, super fast course, but he's just so strong, and I don't think that chip seal, when you're kind of dealing with it, just requires a little more strength, I think. So I think running super, super fast off of it doesn't always happen, except for if you're Cam Brown. He usually runs like 242 or 244 or something. The run's flat, so it's a 3 loop thing. And you also have people who we really haven't seen, like Braden Curry. He won Taupo 70.3 in December. He's good and kind of new to the game. So
we mentioned Cyril, Vanneau, Marco Albert.
Yeah, and Marco Albert's won here before, didn't he? No, he couldn't have.
Yeah, in 14.
Okay, he didn't beat Cam Brown, did he? Like, did Cam Brown not race?
I don't know. Cam Brown won from 2005 to 2011, and then 15 and 16.
Okay.
So I'm not sure the 3 years that he didn't win. If he didn't race or if he got beat, I don't really remember.
Yeah, and 1 year, didn't it get changed to a half Ironman too?
Yeah, 12.
Okay. Okay, so it's not like Cam Brown has won it straight, like when we talk about the women. But yeah, because I mean, Cyril, he was second at the Oklahoma City race that you and I were both at. And then, I mean, he's been 6th in Kona 2 years. So strong athlete. I think there'll be a good group of people to cycle together, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the only thing is, I mean, if Bazone can put the run together again like he did at Western Australia, I think by far there's no way that anybody's going to catch him. But, I mean, he's only done it once out of how many tries, right? So can he do it again is really the question. And then will anybody go, low 240s like Brown has done in the past,
right.
To see if, whoever can run the fastest, obviously.
I mean, and Bazone absolutely killed that bike at Western Australia. Like, when I saw the gaps, I'm like, oh God, he's going to blow like normal. And he didn't, I mean, Potts was definitely eating into it, but he held it together for that marathon. If he does that here, I mean, he's got a shot. And if he's like in front in New Zealand beating Cam Brown, like, it's I mean, that's going to give him some extra motivation. And he's fit because he's getting ready. He's doing that Super League thing. So,
That's right. I forgot about that.
yeah. So we'll just have to see. I think I saw an interview or a picture with him. I mean, you can see in his face, he looks fit, so, but it's also like hard to do that. Like Western Australia was only 12 weeks ago. That's not that long. So, he had to recover from that and then get back in shape, and be ready to hit it here. So, but he's been doing this for years, so I bet you it doesn't take him too long to get in shape.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the women. Obviously the 6-time. What is it?
This would be her 6th win here in a row.
Yeah, Meredith.
Yep. And this is her 60th Ironman. So, and she likes Taupo. I mean, she just had that epic battle with Laura Siddall. At the 70.3, she won by 8 seconds. So, she likes to win in Taupo, and I think she's comfortable there, and the weather's good. It's not hot. Lake swim, wetsuit swim. So, I mean, and she killed it at Ironman Arizona, and I think her hamstring problems from last year are behind her. So it's hard to bet against her, right?
Yeah, I don't know why you would, right? I mean, there's definitely good people in the field, but I think as far as the men race go, I think the women's race, your kind of one is there, and then it's kind of like everybody else.
Yes. And then, I think Annabelle Luxford, like we were talking about in Geelong, she just lit up the bike course and probably just definitely had to cruise the run to win. So she's fit, but she's someone who hasn't put together that run in Ironman. I think she just hasn't quite figured that out, the pacing on the bike, the nutrition, the hydration part of it. And she's faded on runs, or this is more forgiving environment than somewhere like Kona. So you see the effects a little later or not quite as pronounced, but she's going to have to put together her best marathon ever if she wants a fighting chance to beat Meredith.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think she can bike with her.
But okay, so you mentioned that she can bike with her. The other thing is that where the men's race, there'll be other people coming out in the top, for the swim. It'll be Meredith, and then looking at the start list, I might be missing somebody, but it's it'll be Meredith out of the swim and then nobody else, for probably minutes.
Maybe Emma Billum, maybe. She's a pretty good swimmer. She might be, but Meredith destroyed us at Ironman Arizona. She was 3 minutes ahead out of the water. And that
Meredith will be up the road, out of sight, that thing, and it, began the season. You sometimes maybe might just fall into that elbow. Second's fine with me.
Right. Annabelle's a good, I feel like Meredith, if she has a really good swim, will be out on her own, and then Annabelle Luxford and Emma Billum will be together. That's what I think. And then you'll have Carrie Lester, maybe Laura Siddall with Carrie, and Yvonne and Laura swam together at Wanaka. I don't know if Kate Bevilacqua is starting. So yeah, I think the women will be a bit more spread out. And then how does Jocelyn McCauley swim? She'll be behind, yes?
Yeah, I would say maybe the same range as Laura Siddall, or, in that range. I wouldn't expect her to be out in the top, 3.
Right. But she had a really good run at Barcelona. That's where she won in the fall. So she'll
Mallorca?
Mallorca or Barcelona, one of the Spanish ones, right?
Mallorca. Yeah, I think Mallorca.
Yeah. So she'll be someone who's going to be coming, who could run herself into, past some people. Carrie Lester's never someone, she's been second to Yvonne at Challenge Roth. And she was 10th in Kona with what she described as kind of she was just flat on the day, but still got 10th at Kona. Mm-hmm. So, but I think last year took a lot out of her, because I feel like I saw on her Instagram, she took 5 weeks off in the fall or something, just nothing, because she was so worn out. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing. we'll just see on race day. It could kind of, she's been doing this so long, it could be something that just completely kind of reignites everything, and she'll feel great.
One thing we mentioned a lot in the ITU side was like coaching changes and group changes. And I'm not sure if any of these have any coach changes, but like this would be the time that like, maybe your first race under like a new coach or, your new area or wherever you might be. So like that might play a factor into it if any of these people are under a new coach, which I really don't know for sure.
I don't think they are. I mean, Laura is Emma Billums with Trisetto. Laura's still with Purple Patch. I don't know who Annabelle Luxford works with. Yvonne, I feel like her and her boyfriend Pierre Bittner just kind of worked. No, is Yvonne still with Siri? I don't know. Carrie Lester, I think, works with Scott DeFilippis. Meredith does have a new run coach. She's working with Sean Jefferson, who is Holly Lawrence's significant other, and he is also like a sub 4-minute miler. So he's coaching Meredith on the run. And Meredith is really someone who wants to kind of go under that 3-hour mark. And this is a course that could lend itself to that because it's not super hot and it's flat. So we'll see what happens there.
We'll see if there's somebody there to push her to get there. And it's, like I say, it's early in the year. Is she ready for that now?
Yes. I think honestly, like I think her off season was like when she was injured in July and August, and she was really fit for Arizona. She raced pretty well in Taupo. I think she's been training hard. She's ready to go. I mean, I think she really she killed it last year. I think she set the course record at this race. So I think she really likes to start out the year here, and she's fit, I think.
Oh, really for sure.
Fit. Yeah. So it'll just be, I'm interested to see kind of like Laura Sedal backed up really well last year with Challenge Wanaka. So interested to see how that goes. I think she does want to qualify for Kona this year. So this is kind of the start of, she did Malaysia last year and got, I think, second or third there. So she's kind of starting to accumulate those points. So, yeah.
Yeah. And always there'll be the new people. I mean, this could be, the first year of people's pro cards or bumping up from the 70.3 distance. So maybe not this race, but later in the year, we might see some, new faces, get up there.
Yeah. And I mean, Jocelyn McCauley's not a new face, but I think she's someone who probably people haven't seen a lot because, like she raced in Mallorca when a lot of other races were going on, and like this is the only Ironman this weekend, so everybody's kind of watching this one. So some people might not recognize that name, but I think she's someone who could be kind of contending if she has a good race
or no bad luck.
Yes. Well, everybody needs mechanical luck, right?
Yeah, for sure, mechanical luck.
Yeah. So always the X factor.
All right. Well, that was a nice little episode catching up on some of the other stuff that went over this winter and the 2 races this weekend.
Yep. And we'll be back, I think, next week. We got some racing in South America. So we should be back on air next week.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone.